Actually, a dress that I saw, I was going to the optical store to buy some glasses, and I saw this boutique, and I saw a dress in the store that I loved, and I wanted to try it on, and it was kind of funny when I put it on, people outside stopped walking, they stopped wherever they were going, and they turned, and they just went, oh, you need to buy that dress. But it was $180, and I didn't want to spend that kind of money. So when I put it on, I went into the dressing room, and I kind of studied it in the mirror, and I tried to figure out how it was actually constructed. And I took some paper and a pen that I had in my purse, and I started sketching out how I would make this dress. And I determined it was made out of a scarf-like fabric, and I determined that it was actually just two big diamond shapes stitched together to make this kind of flowy dress. So I went to S.R. Harris, which is a really, really cheap, discount, huge fabric store just northwest of the cities. Look it up if you're in the area, it's a great place. And I made this dress that's a little bit, I'll put it on so you can actually see what it looks like. But it's basically two big diamond shapes stitched together. And it was very minimal work. It was a pretty easy pattern. I made one slit, let's see, one stitch here to create kind of this billowy front of the dress, and then another stitch in the back to make this kind of flap in the back. And then, once I stitched that up, the two tops of the diamonds became the two top pieces of the bodice of the dress. And then I cut a really, really skinny strip of fabric. I rolled it up and I stitched it to create a strap for the dress out of the same fabric. I just sewed it to the corner, both of the corners of the dress, and then I crisscrossed them in the back. So I'll put this on in a minute so you can see it. Alright, so here's the dress on. I normally wear it without a black shirt underneath, but I just put it on for now for our class. But you can see that it started out as a diamond shape. And I feel like a kite right now. But it's a diamond shape, and then I made a stitch right back here, and so this kind of has this flowing flap back here. And then in the front, I made two stitches right here, kind of curving out to give it a little bit more form and to create this billowing area in the front. So it's kind of a really airy dress. It doesn't have a lot of form to it. That's the way that the design was. But I kind of missed having some form to it. So I decided I could either wear it like this, or I bought this snazzy little belt at a thrift store not too far from my house. And I thought I could also throw a belt on it if I wanted that look as well. And that kind of gives it, it's a little bit more funky, takes away from the design a little bit, so it's kind of up to you what you want. But so you can't see the flap as well, but it gives it a little more shape too. So this is the dress. Alright, and then lastly, I just wanted to show you one article of clothing. All of these examples that I've shown you, some of them are pretty old. The dress that I just showed you was just maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. But then I've done more redesigning of articles of clothing more recently rather than constructing from scratch, just because I haven't had as much time. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of other interests. But this is a shirt that I did not too long ago. This is probably a year ago. I took just a really, really basic top that I found in a free pile somewhere, and I took a lot of scrap fabric. I tend to keep a lot of scrap fabric around, even if it's old articles of clothing that I've gotten and I cut up. So I just kind of sewed on these different flowers, and then I took some embroidery thread and I just stitched this kind of lyrical line. So my little curlicues, I used an olive green, a violet, and a light blue. I just kind of swirled them around. That's about all there is to it. But here's another example. So this is something you might want to add. I'm going to show you how to make a very, very basic skirt. And this is one idea that you might want to add to a more basic design if you want to spice it up a little bit.